Tonight, hospitals under siege and understaffed, battling a flood of COVID patients and staff sick calls. Some hospitals in New York now delaying all non-essential elective surgeries. Healthcare workers pushed to the limit.
We're tired, we're exhausted, and we're literally on the edge.
COVID closings, stores nationwide forced to shut down or cut back as more workers call in sick. Some Starbucks and Apple stores temporarily closed. Walgreens and FedEx warning of slower service. More than 5 million workers could call out in the days ahead. Will it happen here? We'll take you to the UK and South Africa, where Omicron has already peaked with no major increase in deaths. Deadly flooding in the Northwest. One man swept away, others rescued from the tops of their cars. Now 57 million are under winter weather alerts. The terrifying cliff collapse caught on camera, boaters racing to safety. And special delivery, the message from this UPS driver that inspired so many across the country.
This is NBC Nightly News with Jose Diaz-Balart.
Good evening. We're entering a new phase in this latest COVID wave driven by the highly contagious Omicron variant. First came the explosion in cases. Now comes the hospitalizations. In some areas, the healthcare system is buckling under new pressure. The virus is so widespread, many healthcare workers are testing positive and calling out sick. And there's a lot of seemingly conflicting information. This virus is less severe, but ICUs are still approaching capacity. And what to make of the larger number of people who tested positive for COVID while hospitalized for something else. Sam Brock leads off our coverage tonight to help us make sense of it all.
A year ago, or even a month ago, the daily COVID infection number might have seemed impossible. Roughly 870,000 cases recorded Friday alone.
This has now been the largest influx of patients that we've ever taken care of. They've been the sickest of the patients we've ever taken care of.
A deeper dive into the number of hospitalized patients and deaths reveals trends that certainly don't match the massive case rise daily average. A 265% increase over 2 weeks compared to a 72% increase for hospitalizations, while deaths have shown little change at about 1,500 a day.
Are you worried that we could see a dramatic rise in the amount of people dying from COVID in the near future?
It's always possible. And I think it really depends upon who gets infected in the next several days and weeks.
The emerging portrait of Omicron is a variant increasingly making people sick. At the moment, a daily average of nearly 122,000 people are hospitalized with the virus. Not far from the country's all-time high of 137,000 in January of last year, with health experts predicting that record could fall in days. At the same time, hospitals nationwide are reporting a dwindling number of available staff.
Every hospital is struggling with a staffing shortage like they've never experienced. Now, because of staff being out due to COVID, it's just a gasoline can on the fire.
I'm here to tell you, we're tired, we're exhausted, and we're literally on the edge.
Of those in American ICUs right now, just under 32% of adults are being treated for the virus. The other 2/3 are not. That's a notch below where we were during the peak of Delta, when 38% of ICU patients had COVID, but it's also significantly higher than we were just a month ago. There's also a new development in some major cities, like New York and Miami, where roughly half the people admitted for care are being treated for something other than COVID and then testing positive.
We are now admitting patients who have incidental infections who might be earlier in their disease and who are more contagious. We are seeing people showing up and finding out that they also have coronavirus in addition to the reason that they're there.
Yet admitted for COVID-19 or not, doctors say there is a common thread.
Most of the patients who are admitted to the hospital are unvaccinated. For those who are being admitted to the hospital who are vaccinated, their severity of illness is less.
Across New York State, 40 hospitals have tipped the threshold for delaying non-urgent surgeries as the nation grapples with the still rising flood of patients.
And Sam joins us now from outside Miami's Jackson Memorial. Sam, how worried are officials about ICU capacity?
Jose, they're pretty worried. We just tonight topped 80% capacity in our ICUs nationally. Doctors tell me once you get into the 85 to 90% range, lives will be lost that could have been saved. because of a lack of resources. Jose?
Sam Brock in Miami, thank you. With Omicron cases spreading fast, businesses are slashing hours and cutting back on services as more and more workers call out sick. Some are even fully shutting down. And it's expected to get worse in the next couple of days. Gotti Schwartz has more.
Tonight, shuttered storefronts and closed signs as the great national sick-out spreads across the nation. Omicron now tightening its grip on workers as businesses struggle to keep doors open. A new estimate says more than 5 million Americans could be isolating at home over the coming days, meaning even stores like Apple, Walmart, Starbucks, and Walgreens have been forced to temporarily close some locations or shorten hours.
There's been a high level of stress in the system because of staffing shortages. We've had to reduce operating hours in some locations.
FedEx also warning customers of delays. But while large businesses are able to adapt, some small ones are barely hanging on.
If you think about the 30 million small businesses in the U.S., 90% of them have fewer than 20 employees. 80% of them have fewer than 10.
Meaning if just one person gets sick, the entire operation could be crippled.
We have the business, we don't have the staff. And so that's really frustrating. And there's new clients who want to come in that we have to turn away.
Long Beach, California's Bark Bark Daycare and Grooming forced to shut down its daycare operation, even both owners catching the virus.
We've never dealt with this situation. We feel completely helpless.
For bakers at Montclair Bread Company in New Jersey, the dough is finally rising, but so far not enough to meet costs.
If the bakery's not making the numbers, then my rent's late, which it's actually late this month. I haven't paid my January rent yet.
The bakery just reopened after COVID cases and exposure among the staff forced it to temporarily shut down.
We got a call that somebody on our staff tested positive for COVID, and then there was a second person, and then a third person.
But after sending out a call for help, over 20 volunteers like Marissa raised their hands to pitch in.
When this whole crazy bad dream of a pandemic is over, I want there to be great local stores still in existence. And I was like, I can volunteer. I'll even wash dishes.
Neighborhoods coming together to try to keep their local businesses afloat.
And Gotti joins us now from Los Angeles. Gotti, how long do we expect these store closures to last?
Well, these owners are hoping that the worst of it will be over in the next few weeks. But even before this, so many of these small business owners were facing an extremely tight labor shortage that has now been made so much worse. Jose?
Gotti Schwartz in Los Angeles, thank you. Turning now to a deadly winter storm sweeping the nation. 57 million under alerts for snow, floods, and dangerously cold temperatures. Kathy Park now on how it's impacting travel and if there's any relief in sight.
Severe weather crippling the country from coast to coast.
This is just terrible.
In the Pacific Northwest, record rain and snow melt turned roads into rivers. The rising water swallowing homes and stranding drivers who needed to be rescued. Extreme flooding in western Washington shut down a 20-mile stretch of I-5. In Seattle, a landslide pushed a home off its foundation with a man still inside. 2 hours outside the city, 72-year-old Delbert Pratt drowned while moving his car to higher ground. On the other side of the country, at least 57 million Americans are under winter weather alerts this weekend as freezing rain threatens the nation's midsection before heading east.
This is terrible. I can't even feel my fingers. It's numb.
Chicago, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and Philadelphia, all at risk of dangerous travel conditions due to ice accumulation. New England is still digging out from Friday's storm, and parts of Massachusetts buried in a foot of snow, though some residents are making the best of it.
It's a winter wonderland. It's beautiful. And my dog's never seen snow before, so he's loving it.
Kids in New York are still holding on to the snow that's left.
Anytime you have snow in New York and children of elementary school age, it's special. And it's terrific out here.
Got to take advantage of it.
As the Northeast braces for more bad weather, airlines also can't catch a break. COVID and storms canceling more than 1,200 flights today.
And Kathy Park joins me now live from Central Park in New York. Kathy, is there any relief to these freezing temperatures in sight?
Jose, it will only get colder as the Arctic air settles in early next week. By Tuesday, several cities here on the East Coast, including New York, will be in the teens. Jose?
Kathy Park in New York City, thank you. Now to Nevada, where many of the country's most powerful Democratic leaders were today. Presidents Biden and Obama were among those honoring their former colleague Harry Reid at his memorial. Leanne Caldwell was there.
A rare moment, two presidents together for a mentor and friend.
Harry's life shows that from our darkest days, we can find light and find hope.
Few people have done more for this state and this country than this driven, brilliant, sometimes irascible, deeply good man.
Harry from Searchlight to Capitol Police officer to Senate Majority Leader.
I never gave up.
He served in a slightly less volatile time.
I never heard Harry speak of politics as if it was some unbending battle between good and evil.
As we confront the challenges of the coming weeks and months ahead, I take comfort knowing that Harry is with us.
Reid encouraged Obama to run for president, a partnership that led to the passage of their signature legislative achievement, the Affordable Care Act.
The deals Harry made to get that law done didn't always look pretty. They got votes.
A 5-decade friendship, President Biden praised Reid for his tenacity.
He led the Democratic caucus just not by speaking, but by listening. It was all searchlight, no spotlight.
He disliked praise and small talk.
I was thanking you for the great job you did in the legislation and the rest. I don't want to hear it. Click.
Goodbye was an unnecessary word.
Harry Reid will lie in state in the U.S. Capitol on Wednesday. Leanne Caldwell, NBC News, Las Vegas.
Still ahead, signs of hope in the battle against Omicron. We'll take you to South Africa and London. The worst may already be over there. Will it happen just as quickly here? Throughout the pandemic, researchers often looked overseas to see how new surges were developing and what it may mean for what's going to happen here in the future. But now there are some possible reasons for hope in how quickly the Omicron variant has moved through some countries and how few lives it claimed. Matt Bradley reports from London.
Tonight, as the Omicron variant tears through the U.S., news from overseas offers a glimmer of hope. In South Africa, where Omicron was first identified, the startling spike in cases was followed by an equally sudden decline. Last month, hospitals were packed. But now the mood in Cape Town's Christian Barnard Memorial Hospital appears almost placid.
This is another day in the ICU of ours, which normally operates at 100% occupancy, now at about 50% of occupancy for COVID-positive patients.
Dr. Shikhar Motilla advises calm for other countries now dealing with Omicron.
Had we seen high infection rates translate to high disease rates, that would have been a reason for concern. However, we have not seen a greater severity of disease with the current variant of Omicron.
In fact, the death rate in South Africa has barely risen. Dr. Angelique Coetzee is credited with first identifying the new Omicron variant.
What can the United States expect to see based on South Africa's experience?
Definitely high cases, a high number of cases, but you look at your death rate and you look at your ICU cases. So it doesn't matter how high your positivity rate is, as long as your hospitals are not overwhelmed.
The head of the CDC suggested Friday the U.S. may mimic part of South Africa's experience.
I do think in places that we are seeing this really steep incline, that we may well see also a precipitous decline, but we're also a much bigger country than South Africa.
Doctors caution that South Africa's experience is unique. It's summer there and the population is younger, but here in London, South Africa's experience is having a sequel.
Here, cases spiked from Omicron, but in the past few days have started to drop. Hospitals have been overwhelmed, but that's more because of too few staff rather than too many COVID patients. Doctors and nurses have had to call in sick after testing positive. In fact, hospitalizations in London have increased only gradually compared to last year, even as COVID cases spiked. And two key statistics that speak to the severity of the disease: the number of patients on ventilators and deaths have barely risen. There's no guarantee the U.S. follows the same path, especially since a greater percentage of the population is vaccinated in the UK. But global stats show that when it comes to Omicron, there's cause for optimism. Matt Bradley, NBC News, London.
And now to a shocking and deadly tragedy in Brazil. A warning, the video is disturbing. At least 5 people are dead following this cliff collapse right onto a group of boaters near Brazil's east coast, north of Rio de Janeiro. First responders are searching for 20 people who are still missing. The area has recently had heavy rains and floods that may have loosened the soil, leading to the deadly collapse. Tonight, we're one step closer to seeing farther into space than ever before. There were cheers from NASA engineers today after they remotely unfolded the giant mirrors on the world's most powerful telescope, which will allow them to observe previously unseen corners of the universe. The James Webb Telescope was launched on Christmas Day for its million-mile journey. And when we come back, the moving message from this delivery driver delivered into a doorbell camera but seen around the world. There's good news tonight about the great power of a few kind words and how one stranger's message gave a new mom just the lift she needed. New mom Jessica Kitchell was recovering from a C-section after the birth of her son, Chancey, and feeling a little down last month when something extraordinary happened. A UPS driver delivered a package to her Georgia home, along with this simple but heartfelt message.
If this is the It's a Boy house, I hope all is going well with your newborn. I had a child around the same time you guys did, and I just hope everything is going good. God bless. Happy holidays.
So I just happened to play back the message and saw what he had said and was completely blown away. I felt like in that moment was exactly when I needed encouragement.
If this is the
man on her doorbell cam, new dad Dallin Harrell, a temporary UPS driver hired for the holiday season.
I just wanted to truly ensure that she was okay, since I know she also had a boy.
Jessica was determined to find the man who made such an impact, so she posted his message on social media.
Within 24 hours, the video started getting a ton of shares.
And just a few days later...
What's up, baby Chancey? Hey, Miss Kitchen. What's up, Mr. Kitchen?
What's up?
Warm hugs and handshakes as Dallin finally met Jessica and her family.
Good to meet you. Jessica. So we finally get to physically see Dallin and thank him in person for what his words and encouragement meant to me. Just was everything.
Turns out the family had a surprise for Dallin too. A care package for his new son, Devereaux. And they posted his online registry to social media, where strangers have now been buying gifts for the baby boy.
I can't put into words profusely how grateful I am for you.
New parents, now new friends.
And I just hope everything is going good.
Connecting and finding common ground.
Dallin's message reminded me that kindness is free. It makes me emotional. Just having a son myself and knowing how I want to raise him. Dallin's mom did an incredible job teaching him to just love people.
And while Dallin and Jessica have met in person, their babies have not, but they hope to bring the little ones together sometime soon. That's NBC Nightly News for this Saturday. Kate Snow will be here tomorrow night. I'm Jose Diaz-Balart. Thank you for the privilege of your time, and good night.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.